Hi. You were mentioning backdoors in a processor. Do you have any example of such that have been disclosed?
Well, the most public example about backdoors in chips is at the link I provided at the sheet. I'll post the sheets, and there's tiny URLs at the bottom. And one of those papers actually used an open source chip and made minimal adjustments, just 12 extra elements that made a full backdoor into the chip that can be remotely exploited.
Okay, so it was mainly a proof of concept.
It was more than a proof of concept. It was a real proof, but that's done by the research department. And then I want to, well, show again the link to. There's a major difference in timeline, and when it becomes research and it's public knowledge, and when probably governments are already busy with it.
Okay, so government probably did it, but we don't have any disclosed information about it.
No, there's no public information about it, aside from the Cisco incident where, well, nobody can guarantee that there's no backdoor in it. The problem with backdoors, of course, is that in 99% of the cases, you can't prove there's no backdoor. That's the main issue.
Yeah, but no backdoor have been officially known now.
So how could we protect ourselves against these backdoors? Would it help to have, for instance, a layer of indirection in our code, like a bytecode like Java? Would that shield us from the triggers that open the backdoors?
Well, the main thing is you have to trust all the elements that are in the chain. And even if your bytecode is secure, if you can't guarantee that your bytecode engine interpreter is secure, you still have a problem. So it all... Yeah, but still, if you have that secure, is your radiation side secure? Can not anybody sit at the outside of your house tapping your electrical lines and just reading everything you're doing from the electrical lines?
Is there any third world country that realizes the problem and tries to make their own communicating equipment instead of just buying it from the first world country?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do the third world countries realize the problem that they're getting backdoored equipment and do they some of them try to fix it by producing their own communicating equipment
yeah, good question.
Domestically? Or they just don't have the capability?
The question is if the third world countries, and third world is a general term here, realize the fact that these things are sometimes intentionally broken and can't do anything about it by producing it themselves. And of course the answer is yes. Only the main reason why most don't is it's very, very, very expensive. It's not that easy to do really good security because it's more than just building good security. It's a lot of, well, physical things as well and production. And, well, there are not that many countries that are able to produce their own chips, for instance.
Any other questions? I had a quick question for you. Given that this is a peaceful country, as you mentioned, in a friendly environment, a personal assessment from you, what percentage do you think the risk that, say, this country faces is an economic-based espionage risk versus an other risk?
Well, I think most espionage, if you look at a government level, is on the technological and economic side. We are one of the technologically advanced countries in the world, and we have a lot of information that, well, will help other countries. In addition, there's a lot of economic information. We have a lot of big companies, Shell, for instance, which generates, aside from a lot of taxes for us, but oil companies in other countries really like to have the information Shell has. So, yeah. It's hard to give a percentage because there's no public information about it.
You think the vast majority of it is probably economically based?
Yeah, most is economically and technologically based, indeed.
Okay. Anyone else?
Just a small remark. We're actually not a peaceful country because currently we're involved in a war. We are participating in the occupation of a country, and Dutch soldiers over the last 2 weeks have actually killed quite a few children and women and some other bad people, supposedly. So we're not that peaceful, actually. But that aside, what are your thoughts on the Dutch phone tapping system, which is provided by a foreign company based on proprietary software and proprietary hardware model and being managed remotely from a foreign country?
Yeah, because that's so related to the government, and no comments on that.
No comment. Okay, well, that tells me a lot. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Anything else that he might be able to say no comment to? And yes, cause
There's
people
a question
to salivate.
to the right.
Yes, a salivating question.
You mentioned that in the 70s, NSA had a big lead on cryptography protocols and technology. And Bruce Schneier now stated that research has caught up with the closed world of the NSA.
Indeed.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. That's the main reason why I say that they might be ahead in some theoretical aspects, but well, it's not their main target of expertise anymore for really focusing on new technology, save for really protecting their own information, but not for breaking it anymore where they used to be focusing on, because that's just too hard. Theoretical security of cryptographic algorithms is really, really high.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
So do you remember the movie Sneakers from 15 years ago?
Yeah.
So there's no mathematician that can tell us this RSA security or elliptic curve security or any other of these public key algorithms. There's really no mathematician that can do this on the back of a napkin or something rather than with brute force. So how do you know that the NSA can't actually break this stuff?
You don't.
I think that about wraps it up. Oh, no, one more. One last quick.
That might even be worse because 8 years ago when the Rheindahl algorithm was I think we were in Enschede then at Hackers at Large, was discussed. It was actually said that part of the algorithm was theoretically unknown, so there might be shortcuts within generation of the keys. So we might actually be using an insecure protocol. As a matter of fact, the fact that they won, might that be an indication that it was?
But one of the things is that the Americans do use it even up to their own top secret information. So, but they use BlackBerry as well. Yeah, but they probably own the information that comes from it.
All right, I think that's probably all we have time for today, but if you could please put your hands together in applause to thank Paul.
Thank you.
And I think there's a dinner break now.